All right, let's talk about the preseason week 2 Lions 24-23 win over the Chiefs. Let's talk about it from a scouting perspective and things for Dynasty and Fantasy. I have several notes here. Interesting game in that the Chiefs played their first team offense and defense for the most part for a couple series versus Detroit. Really wasn't prepared to try to win this game. They ran their second teams out to face the defending champs, going with their first teams. So it had the potential to be ugly from that perspective, but it really wasn't. The Chiefs ran their first team offense for 2 series and only resulted in 2 field goals, no touchdowns. KC got up 13-0 and then blew it from there in the battle of the backups. But who cares about preseason results? Let's talk about players and the impact to Dynasty and Fantasy 2024. The first and most important note that I had, something that caught me a little bit by surprise. So the Chiefs run their first team offense, first series, then second series they come back out again, and Carson Steele is the lead running back. Pacheco ran with the first group as normal, but then their second series, it was Carson Steele, the undrafted free agent rookie out of UCLA, who's been doing well in training camp. He's a quasi fullback, halfback, 220 plus pounder, straight ahead bully runner. He's a good player, but I was surprised to see him in as the lead running back with Deneric Prince active, and he's going to be in this game shortly. I have maintained that Deneric Prince is going to be the true number 2 to Isaiah Pacheco, even if Clyde Edwards-Helaire makes this team, doesn't go on the pup to start, that if Pacheco went down for any serious amount of time, they would be grooming Prince to be that lead running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire would fill in a pinch, but if there was a multi-game situation or a whole season situation, I think they would ultimately try to groom Prince to be that lead back with help from the others. So when Carson Steele's lining up as the number 2 in this game, that was a bit jarring to my Deneric Prince theory. Prince came in after that, so the first team runs the second series. Steele is in. I think he's in and out some with Pacheco, but Steele was in a good amount of that drive. Then the first team got finished with that series. They left the game. Carson Wentz and the second team took over from there. That's when Deneric Prince started making an appearance. I think Steele worked with the second team as well. Then it was Deneric Prince coming in after that. Now when Prince hit the game, he looked like a man possessed. He looked angry about the situation. Whether he was or he wasn't, he played like it. He ran the ball very well, caught passes. It was the Deneric Prince show, except for the fact that he was working behind Carson Steele. The Prince is a more legit Pacheco-like, and that's very loose to say that, but he's Pacheco-like in that he could be a 3-down back. He's the guy you would want to run most of your touches through, pass game or run game. He's inexperienced. Carson Steele may be better short yardage, goal line situations, but all around, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is more experienced, but the least talented. Prince is the one that has real running back chops to be a lead running back someday. I don't know if he's going to be a great lead running back, but he's the most lead back-ish type running back of him, Steele, and I'm kind of writing off Clyde Edwards-Helaire as just a waste of everybody's time. So I had a ton of confidence that Prince was the number 2 long-term going into this game. After watching Steele work ahead of him, it's a little jarring, but I still, push comes to shove, I'm with Deneric Prince. If I have Pacheco like in Dynasty, unless it's massive rosters, I don't want to have to carry Prince and Steele, although it's happened in a couple Dynasty leagues I'm associated with. I don't want it to be that way. I don't want to carry 3 of those running backs. I want to get the right one. So if I'm betting on what I think is the right one, I'm betting on Prince, but Steele's not out of consideration based on his great training camp and the fact that he was working second team with the first team offense in this game, and Prince wasn't working with the first team offense. So it's up for grabs. It's not locked in, but I still think Prince would end up being the winner. I think Steele will work with the first team offense right away as kind of a halfback or a fullback, halfback. I can see Steele getting into the games right away and playing some minor role of relief of Pacheco. But if something seriously happened to Pacheco and they needed to turn to a real running back that's like him, I think it would be Deneric Prince. Second note is Xavier Worthy. We got to see more extended cut of Xavier Worthy getting touches. He caught a touchdown pass from Carson Wentz when the second team came in. Worthy did work with the first team. I think he got the first target as well. You can see they're trying to get him going. But he ultimately caught his touchdown pass with Wentz. Let me go over the 3 plays that I saw from Xavier Worthy and my reaction to him. So Worthy's playing with the first team. First pass, I believe, was to Worthy. It was a downfield pass, nice kind of medium route, sprinting straight for about 10 yards, then veering off towards the sidelines to Mahomes' left. It was the planned play, a timing pass. Mahomes hit it on the money. The second team DBs were just keeping Worthy in front of them, so no tight coverage for Worthy to have to deal with. His speed is going to strike fear into the hearts of defenders, so that happened. That's a solid, safe play to use Worthy. When they get into more facing real defenses, first team DBs, it's not going to be as easy. They're not going to give him such a huge cushion. A couple plays later, Worthy come across in motion and took a jet sweep, and he got it from Mahomes, started running parallel to the line of scrimmage to try to get to the outside because he wants nothing to do with going to the inside at his size. And the second somebody was in his way or just starting to touch him, to tackle him, he fumbled the ball. But then he quickly dove on it and saved it from being a turnover. But that's my issue with Xavier Worthy is he's very thin-framed. He's very fragile. I think he's got shaky hands, unreliable hands. That he will potentially. I don't know that. I mean, I think he'll probably have some fumbles, but more I think it's going to manifest itself in. I don't think he catches the ball very cleanly, and I don't think he secures it very well when he does get kind of a clean catch. I'd have to go back and look to see what his hand size is, but whatever it is, because that doesn't really matter anymore these days, You'd love to have receivers with huge hands, but we got receivers with all kinds of hand sizes that do just fine, and they wear those gloves that catches the ball for them. So hand size is not that big of a deal for me as it might have been 10 years ago in scouting. But I would say Worthy plays like he has small hands, whether he has them or not. I thought that watching and scouting his Texas tape, and then in this game, he immediately just let the ball loose. He wasn't even hardly hit or touched. He was just trying to make a turn or just trying to get away from trouble and coughed it up. Then when he started working with Carson Wentz and he got a touchdown pass, which he ran a route, the backup DBs, the DB that was on him kind of came up and was just watching flat-footed as Worthy went about 10 or so yards. The DB, the safety playing behind, just kind of stayed back and was watching it. And then when Worthy kind of slowed, like he might be getting ready for a quick turnaround pass, he just slowed and then he quick put it into high gear and blew right past a flat-footed backup to the backup safety and got open by probably 10 yards. I mean, it was wide open in the end zone. Wentz floated it out there to him, and when he caught it, you could see clearly when he caught it, he almost dropped it. He possessed it. He got it into his hands, and then it started to slip out, and he had to quick double catch it, like he was just about to drop the easiest pass he's gonna see in the NFL. So 3 touches I saw from Worthy, and 2 of them were him having ball security issues from being able to secure the ball. And I saw that at Texas. It's a thing that concerns me. Is Xavier Worthy super fast? Yes. Is it a great pairing to work in Kansas City and be a super fast wide receiver? Sure. But ask Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. Ask all the guys who are speed wide receivers. Mecole Hardman, who I think Xavier Worthy's more like than any of the Kansas City wide receivers. He's not Tyreek Hill, not at all. He's Mecole Hardman. How fruitful is that for fantasy football? It seems like it's going to be great. I'm going to get all the receivers from the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is awesome. That hasn't really been a thing. That's a thing for Tyreek Hill. That's a thing for Travis Kelce. That's a thing now for Rashee Rice. But that's really not been a thing for anybody else. The wide receivers have starved to death outside of one, typically for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. So if you're going to try to tell me that Xavier Worthy is going to blow past Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown to become a consistent impact wide receiver 2 this season, it's not happening. No more than we always used to pine for Mecole Hardman, and I've picked up and dropped and tried to use Mecole Hardman over the years, thinking this will be the time. This is a good flex opportunity. Might as well get the guy that's linked to Patrick Mahomes. But with the Mecole Hardman types, it's just random, and the Marquez Valdes-Scantling, it's just random events. You never know when it's coming. It's the one tricky deep ball. He's going to get a deep ball or 2 each game, and then you have to hope they land. They typically don't because they're lower probability throws. So I am not into Xavier Worthy from a number of levels. And watching him in this game didn't make me feel any worse about having that position because I saw him have the confidence issues with his hands. Now, he may snap out of that with more time. He may be fine down the road. I just don't think 2024 is the opportunity. I don't think a year or 2 from now, we're not even going to care. Just like nobody cared about Mecole Hardman after the first 2 years, but everybody cared about Mecole Hardman out of the gates. I mean, hell, the Chiefs traded up to get in on Hardman when they thought they were going to lose Tyreek Hill to suspension. And Mecole Hardman has been pretty much a bust with the Chiefs. Just like Marquez Valdes-Scantling ended up being a bust, just like Sky Moore ended up being a bust. So I don't see that Xavier Worthy possesses any more superpowers other than he's really fast than those other guys. There's a lot of thin, frail, speedy wide receivers roaming around the fringes of NFL rosters. So Worthy having unreliable hands, to me, it doesn't attract me to him for fantasy football. But I am attracted to Rashee Rice. Just going to note, he looks in great shape. The confidence is there. I didn't believe that Rashee Rice would ever become this kind of star, this kind of main option as well with Mahomes, because Rice also had ball security issues at SMU, and I didn't think he had the ability to operate like a real wide receiver, run those routes and get open. But credit to the Chiefs, they're not asking him to do that. It's a lot of bubble screens and quick passes to him, and let him just be physical after the catch. Kind of, they almost, without the running plays, he's almost like their Deebo Samuel. Just get him the ball quickly and let him go try to do something with it. So they're not asking him to go be a great route runner. He's never going to be Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams or anything. He's more Deebo Samuel without the running the ball aspect. And then linked with Mahomes, and they have a relationship you can't deny. So it's working. And the fact that he's very likely not going to get suspended, then you look at his ADPs, and his ADPs still kind of act like he's going to be suspended, or there's the potential for it. I mean, it's not going to happen this year. He'll be suspended probably next year. But for this year, redraft, I'm kind of into Rashee Rice now. If there was no suspension cloud on Rashee Rice, if that event never happened earlier this year, Rashee Rice would probably be going as a top 30 fantasy player. But he's not there now because of the cloud of the suspension and the issue. But if you don't think he's getting suspended, and I don't, he's becoming quite the value, and he looked great in this game, as he looked good as last season went on. He just got better and better at the thing that he does. He doesn't have to be Jerry Rice. He doesn't have to be Devontae Adams. He can just be this role in the Kansas City offense, and it's going to work. A couple other Chiefs offensive player notes, just quick ones. I saw it was like the third quarter of the game, kind of late third quarter. Then all of a sudden I saw a quick pass to Kadarius Toney, and I was like, oh wow, Kadarius Toney still on the Chiefs, and he's down that far in the depths of the depth chart that he's in with the third and fourth team offense, and he got like a quick pass bubble screen type of thing. He got tackled immediately for no yards, and that was about it for him. I mean, I'm sure I shouldn't say I'm sure. I gotta believe they're gonna cut him. I mean, he's just wasting their time now. Guy has a ton of talent, but a 10-cent head, and that's what I'm worried about with Rashee Rice too. But it's working with Rashee Rice. It ain't working with Kadarius Toney. So I think we're seeing the last days of Kadarius Toney in the NFL. And then another Chiefs offensive player that I had some hopes for earlier this year that's not working out. It's just too soon, if it's ever going to be, is the rugby player Luis Rees-Zammit is just not happening. He needs more time. I think he's miscast as a running back. I think it was the wrong thing to do, was to make him a running back. I think he's got some wide receiver ability, but he just looks so far, so inexperienced with American football that it's going to take time. And from a dynasty fantasy perspective, I've taken some share. I've drafted him at the end of some dynasty rookie drafts, as have some of you, based on our dynasty rookie draft top 300 rankings, and we had a pretty good rating on Rees-Zammit as a prospect, as a pick late in a dynasty rookie draft, like 5th, 6th, 7th round, like last pick type of guy, because I just wanted to see that the athleticism, the size, and you could see from his pre-draft workouts there's some skill there, but once the pads got on, it looks very distant. It looks like if it's going to be anything, it'll be years from now. I don't have that kind of time in Dynasty to be waiting around to see if 3 years from now he might be a number 5 wide receiver or something. So I was interested in taking him in Dynasty Rookie Draft just to see sight unseen, because we'd never seen him in college or anything like that playing American football. So I took the gamble, especially with him being a Chief. If he'd have done anything, it would have been a national celebration and discussion. It could have been a great story, but he's not been able to back it up on the field. So I'm kind of done with the whole LRZ thing. I saw, I'm leaving. No interest from here. Couple kicker notes. The best player probably I saw in this game, after the obvious, starters, you kind of go off the grid of player names. It's easy to forget, for me, that the Chiefs signed that excellent punter prospect, Matt Ariza, who was a high draft pick of, I think it was the Buffalo Bills a couple years ago, and then he got caught in that some type of sex scandal or something with a ex-girlfriend or something. I can't even remember. And maybe domestic abuse and it was something. And the Bills ended up cutting him. It was a big firestorm for a week or two. They cut him and he just kind of disappeared. It took him 2 years or so, and then he got his name cleared, like the whole thing was made up. And so this guy lost 2 years of his career from a made-up story. The Chiefs, of course, end up getting him because the Chiefs need, more gifts to be the best team in football. So now they get probably the greatest punter I've ever seen, and a lot of people would say that. And Matt Ariza, and I watched him kick in this game, and it's like he had a couple of punts where I think they got the ball. Chiefs got the ball 20-25 yard line, didn't really do anything with it, so he drops back to punt, and he's like at his own 20 or 15. He takes the snap and he just blasts it back into the deep red zone, the other side of the field, and the returners are already kind of lined up back there because they know it's like that guy can he drive the football, and good placement on it too. That's just another little weapon that keeps the Chiefs with just more little edges over the rest of the teams in the NFL. That signing is going to come back to haunt the rest of the league this year, as we'll get to see a lot of Kansas City games on national television. They'll make a big deal over the punter, and he's worth making a big deal over. But that's nothing for fantasy, except for it will help the Chiefs defense when their schedule lightens up after the first couple brutal weeks of schedule. Kicker note on the other side that's more fantasy pertinent. Jake Bates, the UFL star, the big-legged kicker that came in and has won the job for the Lions in training camp, and then the second he won the job and they cut the other kickers, then Jake Bates started having problems in camp. He seems to be getting it back together again in this game. 4 of 4 field goals, but he missed an extra point. But just noting, he was good on 4 field goal attempts, and just watching him kick in the NFL, it's like he's definitely got the leg for it. So looked pretty accurate, but he did miss an extra point. Further on down the chain of players in this game, Detroit undrafted free agent wide receiver Isaiah Williams, 6 catches, 71 yards, 8 targets, led the Lions in receiving. I've been interested to see him get an extended look and amount of touches so I could see what he was all about. Watching him in this game, scouting him in this game, I was unmoved. He looks like every 6th, 7th wide receiver on a team's depth chart that's on and off the roster, in and out of practice squads, that's going to bounce around the league. So I'll bet the Lions put him on the practice squad and try to develop him. But right now, in the extended work that he got here, he looked fine. I mean, it's capable enough, but nothing special. Not like, oh, here's a future star. Oh, here's a guy that's going to end up being a sneaky surprise starter for the Lions this year with their void at number 3 wide receiver. I don't see that happening from Isaiah Williams. The running backs, rookie Sione Vaki, he was all right in this game. He's getting fantasy heat lately because of the Jahmyr Gibbs injury, but Jahmyr Gibbs is for the hamstring issue, but it was a mild issue, and they expect him back this week. So, and I don't think Vaki's the handcuff, quote unquote. I don't think he's the number 3 running back for the Lions at this point anyway. It's going to be Craig Reynolds 3, Vaki as the number 4 in development that they will keep on the team, and that will be it. I don't see Vaki having any impact in 2024. And he doesn't look like he's anything too special for the future. He's decent. If they forced him into something, he might respond okay. But I don't see a burgeoning star waiting to happen with Vaki. But he's fine. Last notes is on the 2 of the quarterbacks in this game. Hendon Hooker was the 3rd quarterback in the game for the Lions. He seems to be running as the number 3, and that's kind of what he deserves. He's still in development. I don't want to close the book on him totally at this stage because he's just 2 games into his NFL career, missed last year with the ACL. I don't see it with Hendon Hooker. He looks like every fringe backup number 3 quarterback that's in the NFL. He is no threat to Jared Goff, even though Lions fans wanted that to be true when they drafted him last year. And the media definitely wants this to be true. So for someone to take down Jared Goff, since they hated him and laughed about the trade the Lions made to get him a couple years ago. Now they're not laughing so much, and now they're trying to hope you forget that they were big Hendon Hooker's going to take over Jared Goff guys, but that ain't happening. I don't think Hendon Hooker can beat out their number 2, and I can't even remember their number 2. Their quarterback situation is so bad. It's not Nick Mullins. I got to go check to see who it is now. Nate Sudfeld. So, I mean, if Nate Sudfeld is your backup quarterback, you're going to have a hard time convincing me you're going to win a Super Bowl. The Goff better stay healthy for the entire season. Hendon Hooker is not the answer. There's no future with him that I see in Dynasty either. The better quarterback, that's a number 3 quarterback, is Kansas City Chiefs' Oladokun. I think is how it's pronounced. 2 good appearances this season in the preseason. He looks like he's really spending a lot of time mimicking, learning from Patrick Mahomes, learning his ways on just the way he sets up in the pocket, the way he does a ball fake on a play action. He can move around well. He's a quasi runner if you needed him to be. He could be a bit of a weapon as a runner. He was drafted by the Steelers 7th round a couple years ago, and then the Steelers tried to put him on the practice squad, and he bounced around. And the Chiefs grabbed him and have him in development, and he's starting to develop. I don't think the Chiefs can cut him and try to put him on the practice squad. I think they're going to have to roster him, and Wentz has got the experience. Wentz would get the first opportunity, but I think if something seriously happened to Mahomes, and if Wentz came in and started to Wentz up the place, I could see them maybe looking to see if I'm going to try to pronounce it right again. And I got it hyphenetically spelled out on my notes. Oladokun, whoever he is, I have to give him a nickname so I don't have to keep pronouncing his last name. If something happened to Mahomes long term and Wentz started to struggle, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a chance to push Wentz and to be kind of a fresh, new age quarterback that might step up with the learning and progression that he's made over the past couple of years, where he used to be just a runner who could kind of throw but was a mess throwing the ball, didn't look like he'd ever be a pocket quarterback, that he'd just be a runner gunner, and wasn't going to make it, and maybe needed to switch him to wide receiver. I mean, that was his original path coming into the league, but now he's looking like a legit pocket quarterback that can move. So Chiefs have another winner there. If you just compare the Chiefs to the Lions, to the top Super Bowl contenders, after the starting quarterbacks, if something were to happen and they had to dip into their backups, I mean, Carson Wentz is at least plausible and experienced, and then this their third string guy has a lot of upside, and he's better than either one of the Lions backup quarterbacks. So advantage to the Chiefs on that front if it ever comes down to it. But that is it. That's all the notes from this game from me. And until the next video game report and recap, I am out of here.